Justice Alito wrote an interesting dissent joined by Justices Thomas and Gorsuch. This case involves what the district court termed a far-reaching and widespread censorship campaign conducted by high-ranking federal officials against Americans who expressed certain disfavored views about COVID-19 on social media. Victims of the campaign perceived by the lower courts brought this action to ensure that the government did not continue to coerce social media platforms to suppress speech. Among these victims were two states whose public health officials were hampered in their ability to share their expertise with state residents. Distinguished professors of medicine at Stanford and Harvard, a professor of psychiatry at the University of California Irvine School of Medicine, the owner and operator of a news website, and Jill Hills, the director of a consumer and human rights advocacy organization. All these victims simply wanted to speak out on a question of the utmost public importance. Notice the different point of view Justice Alito brings to this case. While the majority look to standing, the dissent looks to injury. All these people wanted to do was speak about an important topic without the federal government placing its thumb on the scales. If the lower court's assessment of the voluminous record is correct, this is one of the most important free speech cases to reach the court in years. Freedom of speech serves many valuable purposes, but its most important role is protection of speech that is essential to democratic self-government, and speech that advances humanity's store of knowledge, thought, and expression in fields such as science, medicine, history, the social sciences, philosophy, and the arts. The lower court saw this as a simple question of freedom of speech. That's not entirely true, since much of the content suppressed wasn't speech, but written and videoed content that the plaintiffs wanted to publish. That makes this a freedom of the press case, even though the courts have long lumped all the freedom of expression into freedom of speech. The speech at issue falls squarely into those categories. It concerns the COVID-19 virus, which has killed more than 1 million Americans. Our country's response to the COVID-19 pandemic was and remains a matter of enormous medical, social, political, geopolitical, and economic importance, and our dedication to a free marketplace of ideas demands that dissenting views on such matters be allowed. I assume that a fair portion of what social media users had to say about COVID-19 and the pandemic was of little lasting value. Some was undoubtedly untrue or misleading, and some may have been downright dangerous. But we now know that valuable speech was also suppressed. That is what inevitably happens when the entry to the marketplace of ideas is restricted. We're getting closer to the heart of the matter. You see, free speech doesn't have to be true. In fact, the expression of a controversial, unconventional, and especially those contrary to our understanding is foundational to our search for truth.